What's going on, Sports Wars? This is Ryan with RK Outpost and GeeksandGamers.com, and Jonathan Isaac has spoken out after the game as to why he did not kneel during the national anthem, why he instead stood tall while all of his other teammates decided to bend the knee while the national anthem is played. And of course, people are also very upset that he's simply wearing his jersey and not a Black Lives Matter shirt. You have outraged members of the media who are upset with him. You have outraged players who we're going to talk about because one person in the NBA refuses to think the same way, doesn't think the same way as you. Now the man needs to be canceled. He needs to be dragged through the mud. He needs to be called all sorts of names simply because he's not kneeling for the national anthem. Imagine a world where that is the case. You stand for the national anthem and you have to be dragged through the mud. You don't wear a Black Lives Matter shirt, and now everyone's asking, well, do you think Black Lives Matter? Because that's the only thing these people care about, is if you conform with their ideology. And if you don't, you are shit to them. Let's take a look at this article from Outkick. Jonathan Isaac explains why he stood for the national anthem. I want you guys to hear his words because I do think it's important. And whether or not you agree with him, it doesn't even really matter with his reasons for why. The fact is, because he stood, there are now people that are out to get him. There are now people that are accusing him of being all these sort of things just because he refused to kneel for the national anthem. Jonathan Isaac, a forward on the Orlando Magic, stood for the national anthem and did not wear a Black Lives Matter t-shirt for today's game against the Brooklyn Nets. He was the first player in the NBA bubble to do so. After the game, he was asked about that and answered. Now, just remember that we said this whole time. What's going to happen as soon as one person doesn't want to kneel with all their teammates? They are going to get called out. They are going to get accosted. They are going to get called all sorts of stuff. Because that's how it is. If you don't agree with everything we believe in, then you're an ist, you're a phobe, blah, blah, blah. Let's take a listen to what Jonathan Isaac says in his own words.
I believe that Black Lives Matter. A lot when
he was asked, do you believe that Black Lives Matter? Yeah, because simply not wearing a shirt. If I go out there and I don't wear a shirt that says Black Lives Matter, then you have these fucking idiots asking you, do you think Black Lives Matter? Kidding me.
Absolutely. I believe that Black Lives Matter. A lot went into my decision, and part of it is, first off, is my thought that, kneeling or wearing a Black Lives Matter t-shirt don't go hand in hand with supporting Black lives. And so
kneeling while wearing a Black Lives Matter t-shirt don't go hand in hand with saving Black lives.
I felt like, just me personally, and what it is that I believe in, standing on the stance that I do believe that Black Lives Matter, but I just felt like it was a decision that I had to make, and I didn't, feel like putting that shirt on and kneeling went hand in hand with supporting Black lives, or that it made me support Black lives or not. I believe that for myself, my life has been supported through the gospel of Jesus Christ, and that everyone is made in the image of God, and that we all fall short of God's glory.
So he goes on and he's speaking about his religious beliefs and how really that played a part, and how his message is really one of, ironically, his message is one of unity, as he's standing there while all of his other teammates are kneeling and wearing Black Lives Matter t-shirts. Whether they believe that or not, they are doing it simply to conform, simply to not get called out. Jonathan Isaac is not going to be compromised by that. He is going to do what he thinks is right, and that is standing during the national anthem. Listen to what he says, too, a little later. We hate and dislike people we shouldn't hate and dislike. And sometimes it gets to the point where we point fingers about whose evil is worse. Sometimes it just comes down to whose evil is most visible. I feel like I just wanted to take a stand on. I felt like we all make mistakes, but I think the gospel of Jesus Christ is there, and there's grace for us all. That is why Jonathan Isaac decided to stand. And you see Tim Reynolds. Jonathan Isaac is an ordained minister, someone who gave money to make sure kids got fed when COVID closed schools, led a drive to support Hurricane Dorian victims, and donates to Central Florida literacy programs. And as he stood during the anthem today, he prayed. Now, anybody who does this will be called out eventually, to be quite honest with you. And look, Jared Dudley, NBA player, can't wait to hear his reasons after the game, right? Already retweeting and calling him out. That's what Jared Dudley, a dude who is not relevant in any way, shape, or form, except when he acts like a fool on the court because he can't play defense anymore. Jared Dudley calling out his fellow NBA player. Let's take a look at the trend right now and see what people are saying. Of course, this guy, Dane Moore, was the person that called him out first. And then he says in his post-game commentary, Jonathan Isaac said, kneeling and wearing t-shirt don't go hand in hand with Black lives, right? So he... I'm kind of surprised he didn't get ratioed on this, to be quite honest. I guess it didn't pick up as much traction as it maybe should have. I love Jonathan Isaac game, but I knew he was a weirdo when he tried to victim blame the Central Park 5. Right here. Jonathan Isaac being crazy MAGA was not something I saw coming. Of course, because he follows President Trump and he follows some conservative people on Twitter, then he's crazy MAGA, right? There's a black person that doesn't think the way I think black people should think. Heaven forbid. That's what we have going on here. We knew this would happen when people started standing up for what they believe in instead of kneeling like a bitch because you're too afraid to do anything else. I support Jonathan Isaac standing. I hear Clay Travis talking about it too. Obviously, he runs Outkick, the article that we just read from. So much respect for Jonathan Isaac. Have to buy a jersey now, right? All the Trump voters, right? That's what this person's trying to say. You know, I do respect Jonathan Isaac for being the first player to stand for the national anthem during the return of the NBA. He's going to catch a lot of shit for this. But what do you guys think about all this? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you smash the like button, subscribe to Sports Wars, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I will talk to you later.